The humid air clung to Amelia like a spectral shroud as she crossed the threshold into the Miami City morgue, her heart thudding in syncopation with the city's haunting pulse. A generous hand of sunlight graced the grim gray facade, casting long, unyielding shadows across the worn-down tiles. A stark juxtaposition to Miami's vibrant, sun-drenched illusion of cheer. Navigating the labyrinth of sterile corridors and icy cold rooms, she reminded herself of the altruistic flame that had kindled her journalistic journey. Amelia carried an air of sincere determination, her passion visible in her deep-set eyes that had seen the darkest depths of her own soul and emerged resilient. "I'm here for a tour," she announced to the stern-faced receptionist, her voice steady, belying the flutter of unease in her stomach. A silent nod guided her to the coroner on duty, Dr. Ellis, a grizzled man with crow's feet etched deep into his leathery skin. "Ah, the press. Just can't resist the allure of the dead, can you?" Dr. Ellis asked, a humorless smirk tugging at his lips as he escorted Amelia through the steel-laden catacombs of the morgue. As Amelia conversed with him, weaving through a carefully curated repertoire of questions, she found her journalistic instincts prickling. Dr. Ellis was eager, too eager to shed light on the routine workings of the morgue. But there was an elusive hesitancy whenever the subject steered towards the rumored smuggling ring. Near the end of her tour, she stumbled upon a peculiar sight, a cryptic symbol etched into the metallic surface of a cold chamber, partially hidden by frost in the stark fluorescence. The symbol seemed innocuous, a simple artistic flourish, but its recurrence on the smuggled goods in her investigation hinted at a thread that connected the two worlds. She shivered, her pulse pounding in her ears as a surreal unease washed over her. "Curious thing, isn't it?" Dr. Ellis interrupted her thoughts. His gaze was impassive, but his fingers trembled faintly, stirring a disquiet within Amelia. "Just a harmless doodle by one of our past interns. Nothing more." As she exited the morgue, the world outside seemed different. The sunlight appeared harsher, the air heavier, as if Miami were now holding its breath, a city teetering on the edge of a revelation. Her past battles with depression had taught her to recognize the shadow of unease that now hung over her. Yet it was not a deterrent. Rather, it was a beckoning towards the uncharted depths of the mystery she was about to plunge into. The cityscape of Miami basked in the twilight, oblivious of the dark secrets concealed within its heart. As she retreated to her tiny apartment, her mind spun the threads of a story that was far from finished. As she sat down at her desk, gazing at her notes, she couldn't shake the feeling that the morgue held more than just the corpses of the dead. It was the cradle of something insidious, something otherworldly. On the sultry Miami night, under a sky of indigo velvet, Amelia's investigation took a clandestine turn. Through an informant, she had procured an invitation to a meeting of the shadowy syndicate, cloaked under the guise of a simple fisherman's gathering. The pier was a silhouette of rickety, worn wood jutting out into the inky expanse of the sea. Men, their faces half drawn in the low light, moved with a strange cadence, like marionettes performing an unseen puppeteer's will. Her heart throbbed in her throat, a persistent staccato against the symphony of the night. She was an intruder, an alien entity in their realm, and yet she was driven by an unseen force. The unsettling unease from the morgue had evolved into an unquenchable curiosity, a gravitational pull that guided her through the meeting. She listened with her journalist's acumen to the layered dialogue. Underneath the benign chatter about weather patterns and fishing routes, there were veiled discussions of deliveries and pickups, cryptic references to the symbol, and an ominous allusion to the travelers. As the meeting progressed, the ambient energy shifted, an underlying current of tension electrifying the air. The men huddled closer, their conversation falling to whispers. A ritual of sorts was unfolding before her, a sequence as precise as clockwork, yet shrouded in mystery. And then she saw a man at the heart of the circle, his face upturned to the moon as he traced the cryptic symbol on the wooden boards beneath him. The symbol seemed to glow, pulsating like a living entity. Suddenly, the man was engulfed in a violent surge of darkness, a void that swallowed him, leaving only the luminous symbol in his wake. A ripple of shock coursed through her, a chill that threaded its way up her spine and gripped her heart. In the silence that followed, the men resumed their business as usual. Their apparent nonchalance towards the inexplicable event was more chilling than the event itself. Veiled under the cloak of the night, she retreated from the scene, her heart pounding a primal drumbeat against her ribs. The reality of Amelia's world had changed, no longer tethered to the grounded principles she once knew. It was as though she had brushed against a spider's web, its threads now clinging to her, each strand part of an intricate design that was just beginning to reveal itself. She returned to the morgue, her senses heightened, her understanding fractured and reconstructed into something uncanny. Each cold chamber she passed seemed to echo with an unspoken secret, their stainless steel doors like gateways to the unknown. The eeriness of the morgue was palpable, and Amelia could feel the undercurrent of a dark, cosmic dread. Dr. Ellis regarded her with a weariness that betrayed more than simple exhaustion. "Back again, Miss Journalist? Another tour, perhaps?" He joked half-heartedly, his gaze never quite meeting hers. Amelia's smile was placid as she began to engage him in a seemingly innocuous conversation about the city, their dialogue heavy with veiled meanings. Subtle hints and probing questions began to unravel the tapestry of the morgue's morbid operations. There was a rhythm to the incoming bodies, a peculiar schedule that aligned mysteriously with the smugglers' activities. The bodies brought in bore no discernible cause of death, merely a lifeless shell bearing the cryptic symbol. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest as she deciphered the horrifying implication. The bodies weren't just victims of a smuggling ring, they were vessels, empty and waiting. Her apartment, once a haven of solitude, now hummed with an unseen energy. The city outside her window was illuminated by a waning crescent moon, its faint light casting long, disorienting shadows on the walls. Her mind raced, thoughts tumbling like celestial bodies in an endless cosmos, each carrying a fragment of the chilling revelation she had unearthed. Her former life as a journalist had unraveled, replaced by the role of an explorer charting the unimaginable expanse of the dark tapestry. And at the end of this unraveling, she knew awaited something far more sinister than she could have ever fathomed. Amelia found herself standing on the precipice of sanity, staring into the abyss of the unfathomable. The fragments of her reality were twisting, reshaping into a new understanding, an acceptance of the horrific truths that lurked beneath the facade of the mundane. Summoning the last vestiges of her journalistic bravado, she sought a confrontation with the shadowy syndicate. The pier, under the cover of the night, was now a familiar theater of cosmic dread. She revealed herself to them, her voice echoing in the silent expanse, carrying the weight of her discovery and a defiance born from her resilience. Their response was not anger or retaliation. Instead, they offered her a horrifying gift, a glimpse into their world. The symbol was traced, the air shimmered, and for a moment, she stood at the threshold of their dark dimension. She beheld a reality, a realm that stretched and twisted in ways that defied logic and understanding. It was an expanse of eldritch horrors, an echo of her deepest nightmares given form and substance. As quickly as it had appeared, the gateway collapsed, and she was thrust back into her world. The after-an image of the twisted dimension danced behind her eyelids, a chilling tableau etched into her psyche. Her sanity teetered, precariously balanced on the edge of the abyss, but a stubborn defiance anchored her. She was shaken, yet strangely invigorated by the cosmic dread that she had tasted. Driven by the echoes of the horrific sights, she penned her findings, the frantic strokes of her pen birthing a macabre symphony of truths. Yet beneath the horror and fear, there was an odd sense of fulfillment. She was no longer merely surviving, but also uncovering a reality that was more profound and far-reaching than she could have ever envisioned. In the penultimate act of her journey, Amelia made the decision to publish her findings, to reveal the monstrous truth that veiled Miami. Her article, a chilling narrative laced with an unnerving authenticity, soon found its way into the public sphere. Yet the reactions were not as she anticipated. The world seemed unwilling, or perhaps unable, to accept the horrific realities she unveiled. Her words were written off as fiction, as the delusions of a troubled mind. Yet she stood undeterred, her resolve hardened by the cosmic dread she had embraced. The once vibrant cityscape of Miami was now a surreal stage where the mundane and the monstrous danced together in a grotesque ballet. She ventured once more to the pier, drawn by the allure of the unfolding cosmic drama. This time, she was expected. A circle of shadowy figures awaited her arrival, their faces masked by the darkness. At their center stood Dr. Ellis, the cryptic symbol glinting ominously at his feet. There was no surprise in his gaze, only an eerie resignation. He gestured at the symbol, an unspoken invitation for Amelia to step closer. As she approached, she felt a profound sense of clarity. Her depression, her search for purpose, had all led her to this moment. She was not being led to her doom. Rather, she was meeting it halfway, her spirit unbroken. She was no longer a mere observer, but an integral thread in the dark tapestry of cosmic horror. Dr. Ellis's voice echoed through the night, his words resonating with a spectral hum. The air shimmered, the boundaries of reality fraying as the dark dimension unfolded before her. She felt herself drawn towards it, an unseen force pulling her into the inky abyss. A slow, serene calm washed over her as she surrendered to the inevitable. In her final moments, as the last vestiges of her reality blurred and faded, she did not despair. She had found her purpose. She had danced with the cosmic horrors, and she had emerged not as a victim, but as a harbinger of the untold truth. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, show your support with a like and subscribe, and stay notified by hitting the bell icon. Expect more cosmic horror from Eldritch Tales Factory, and feel free to explore our other stories. See you in the next video.